star up, star down. We're going to have some fun with this one today because I don't know how many star ups you could possibly have, but I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 7 star ups this game. I have more star ups almost than star downs because I got to make myself feel good about something. And that play right there was a big, giant star up for me.
Yeah.
Couple reasons. One, I took over 104.5 scrimmage yards from Joe Mixon. I hit that by halftime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was not difficult.
No, it was not difficult. So star up to the officials for calling back the 80-yard touchdown pass on the first play of the game. Big time star up to that because it allowed Joe Mixon to get the 45-yard touchdown run. It's the kind of day it's going to be here.
Man,
if you can't laugh at yourself in times of distress, what can you do?
I mean, look, there's so much about this team that feels right now like poetry, or their circumstances feel like poetry.
What is your favorite type of poem?
I don't know, nursery rhyme, probably.
Okay.
Something
right.
to get you to sleep. But no, the perfect poetry. We haven't even mentioned it yet this morning. Star up to whoever made sure that there were no people standing in the direct vicinity of the large piece of sheet metal falling from the sky when they just tried to open the roof. That's a big star up. That seems very that feels like a Rodney Dangerfield joke.
Yeah.
They say the sky is falling, but boy, this is crazy.
Star down to the awareness of the guy that was standing right next to it when it fell. If that thing fell within 5 feet of me, I'm on the ground. Oh, my ankle! Oh, my Achilles! I'm on the ground. I'm on the ground, and I'm never working again. I'm just on the ground. If that happened next to me. Ketchup packets everywhere, just having people throw it from me, throw it from the stands. What a lack of awareness. Awareness of 22 on that dude that was right there.
Tyler Guyton level awareness.
Very, very low awareness.
That's what you got there. I'm going to go star down for CeeDee Lamb. I understand CeeDee Lamb was questionable coming in this game. When you have so many injuries to key players and so many issues with your primary, core individuals that you put out there on the football field, Lamb can't be that big of a problem. Penalties, focus drops, other times where he's just not finishing plays through contact. CeeDee Lamb, who I absolutely love as a core player to build around because I do like his edge. I do like the way that he plays the game. I like that he is frustrated by outcomes a lot of times, but you got to go star down to CeeDee Lamb for what was a bad football game from him yesterday. And ultimately, I don't know that it matters much because when you talk about contributing to winning, you don't necessarily want them to win football games at this point because they are 3-7 and they're not going to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And so all you're doing now is just talking about shifting your record up. By the way, this is what's really frustrating. You've won 3 games, which is the second fewest wins of anybody in the NFL this year.
They were 3-2.
You're picking 9th right now. With the second fewest wins in the NFL, they are picking 9th right
because of the tiebreakers.
All the different tiebreakers.
They beat the Giants.
Yeah, there's a bunch
Cleveland.
There's a bunch of 2-win teams in the NFL. There's a bunch of 2- and 3-win teams. And so, yeah, they beat the Giants. They beat Cleveland. That gives them tiebreakers over them.
Yeah.
These are the 2-win teams in the NFL right now. Jacksonville, Tennessee, Cleveland, Giants, Raiders. And then the 3-win teams. New England, the Jets, Carolina, Dallas. And Dallas, out of there's 9 teams with 3 wins or 2 wins. Dallas has done just enough now to ensure that they've got the worst pick of all the 3-win or less football teams in the NFL.
And they're gonna fall into a win here or there.
I don't know that they are.
I think they might beat the Giants. I think Carolina, they could fall into a win against Carolina.
Who wants it less, them or the Giants? Would be the question.
There you go. I mean, the Giants are starting their 3rd-string quarterback, and Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, they had apparently been starting their 3rd-string quarterback.
Yeah, apparently they had been
for the last several weeks.
Jones. It is like that's. You want to give a start on a CD? CD got me. He got me paid. I took the over half rush yard, and he got that on one play. So it was fantastic. And I was like, please don't run that play again because I don't want him to lose anything. I don't want him to lose any yards. I'll
do this one on behalf of Shan because I know Sean's fed up here with this one. Star down to Terrence Steele. Terrence Steele is causing a lot of issues for you. He's getting beat clean routinely out there on the football field in the last several weeks. He's just not giving you not just the last couple weeks. It's been the last year and a half since he came back from the injury. He's just not giving you consistently good enough pass protection at right tackle. And they're going to have to make some sort of a decision. Now, one of the things people have talked about is the idea of, okay, well, do you find a left tackle and just move Guyton back over to right tackle where he'll be more comfortable? I don't know that you've got any confidence that you feel like right now Tyler Guyton can go over to right tackle and give you consistent reps either.
I mean, I think more natural position.
I think Guyton's going to be good in the future, but this is exactly what we talked about on draft night. And the weeks after that is that he's incredibly raw. He was not ready to play. And in a year where you were all in, quote unquote, you ran out there with a left tackle who's not ready to play.
Would you have advocated for bringing Tyron back for another year?
No, but I would have advocated for going to get some veteran to play for you. Not Tyler Guyton, who's just not ready. And this is why, as much as everybody scoffed about it at the time, I'm gonna be petty today, and I'm just gonna go back and find all the tweets I got and retweet all of them from the people who said, haha, there is no competition between Edoga and Guyton. Edoga would have started week 1 if he was healthy. That's what the Cowboys would have done. And Guyton getting put on the bench essentially yesterday after the fumble for doing what he did. Obviously, Tyler Guyton is a star down here. It's just
stank acid.
That's exactly what it is.
Acid.
That's exactly what Tyler Guyton is right now.
I'm not going to fight you on it at all. I mean, he's not a
972. Bobby,
good.
He caught 8 of 12 for almost 100 yards. Star down my ass. 972. I'm sorry that your standard is so freaking low.
Is 8
CD
for
Lamb,
100?
8 for 12 on catches for 100. It was below 100 yards. I don't care that it's almost 100 yards. CeeDee Lamb is not brought in here to just be a stat patter and a blowout. CeeDee Lamb did not contribute to you even getting close to winning football games yesterday. He was a detriment. He had bad penalties. He had focus drops in key situations. If you think that's a star down.
Oh, hang on. Why are you so mad today?
Because this is ridiculous.
Relax.
30 years out there. Go ahead.
I mean, 8 for 100 yards is not a bad game.
Are you going to tell me when Dak throws for 300 against the Bears in a blowout
when
with
you're
garbage time?
When you're a wide receiver, you're at the mercy of what your quarterback can get to you. You know that.
He had 2 drops. He had penalties. He had focus issues.
He had
Lamb did not contribute to winning the game.
Guys drop passes.
Lamb, no, you do not drop 2 passes wide open and have silly penalties like false starts in big third down situations. Lamb was not good.
Of that,
Lamb was not good yesterday.
Speaking of that, and I know Troy Aikman was thinking, oh, he's all over the field. Yeah, he's also in the penalty box. This was in the NHL. Micah with some penalties on a big third. It was a third down, and you get an offside. It was 3rd and 8, and you get an offside. You get a penalty there, and then there was another one in the second quarter. We had another penalty. I mean, this team gets penalized. I saw a graphic yesterday that they were kind of like mid-pack in penalties. I was like, I don't know if I believe that. But it appeared to be true. They did have a bye week, and not every team that has had a bye week yet, so that may play into it as to why they're not higher on the list. But this is still a highly penalized team, and it has always been a highly penalized team.
Because they don't practice the right way, and they don't prepare the right way.
See, Parcells said we don't practice penalties, so I don't know what to believe on that one. I really don't know what to believe on that. I have no idea, because which also means Belichick doesn't practice penalties.
I don't think I'm not advocating for Belichick to be your head coach next year.
Well, no, but nobody would think that he lacks attention to detail. You know, and
I don't know,
and I don't know that he does or not. But I mean, he's a Parcells guy, so I assume he does things the way Bill did.
I wouldn't want to do things the way Bill does. Bill would want to come out here in full house formation and would still be coaching the offensive line to do the old stand up Landry shift, and the running backs would be split backs with their hands in the dirt behind the quarterback. That there'd never be shotgun. That's what Bill would go out there and run.
Yeah, so. he would shun the gun, no doubt.
He wouldn't sign a kicker unless they had the single bar face mask.
He advocated for Vanderjagt.
Did he?
Yes, right, because like Jerry would not sign kickers. That was the whole thing. Jerry wouldn't pay kickers. I don't want to pay a kicker. And Bill was like, we gotta get a kicker in here, man. I need Matt Barr. Or whoever the guy was that was the single bar face mask guy that he had. with the Giants. Star up, star down here on 105.3 The Fan.
I'll go legitimate star up. The tight ends yesterday stepping in, especially after Ferguson.
Yeah.
Played okay. Luke Schoonmaker was all right. Brevin Spanford was all right. You had guys making plays on that front. Now I know 972 that maybe you would have a star down because it's 4 catches for 42 yards, not the 8 for 93 that CD was all world with, and the great standard you have for him. But no, Brevin Spanford played a better, more consistent game yesterday with his 4 for 42 than CD did with his 8 for 93. So it's star up for Brevin Spanford and Luke Schoonmaker because the young tight ends played well.
Star up to how they used Rico. They actually gave him opportunities to run. Didn't work.
They?
I mean, they gave him like 10 carries.
Yeah, that's not an opportunity.
Well, you're down big.
What did Mike tell us Friday? Oh, he can handle 28
He can
touches.
handle 25. It's not even for Rico. It's the fact that they didn't force Zeke down our throat. Zeke didn't get his first carry their first touch till about 30 seconds to go in the half.
So that's improvement.
That's absolutely improvement. That's absolutely what I wanted to see. The game got away from them, so they couldn't use Rico. They got runs late, which if they gave them to Rico would have hit the over. I would have been a perfect 5-0 night for me. I was 4-1. CD over, Mixon over, Stroud rush over, Texans -7. The loss was the Rico carries. He missed it by, I think, 2. What do you have, 10 carries? But the way they didn't fart around when he was getting 1 yard a carry early on or a half yard a carry, they didn't pull him and go right back to the well, which is Zeke Elliott. Thank God they didn't do that. He wasn't any good. The offensive line wasn't any good, but at least they didn't try to force feed Zeke down my throat. And for me, that's enough. My bar is very low right now. My bar is very low. Just play some young guys, play some guys who don't normally play. Don't put the same old crap out there. So, what does that mean? It means we need to see Trey Lance next week. Now, we're not going to. But we need to. We need to see Trey Lance next week.
We might, though, because it sounds like, they said they still want Cooper Rush to be their starter, and the precedent they've set here is whatever McCarthy tells us during the week that he wants to do, he's not going to do it.
He's not going to do it.
And then he's going to stand up there and he's going to go, boy, I would love to do some of that. Really? Because you're the guy who chooses if you do it.
This is a road game, right, in Washington?
Road game in Washington on a short week, and then you're coming back on a short week. You're going to have back-to-back short weeks with travel in there.
Yeah, that's tough.
Star down to Jerry Jones and the Cowboys front office for making the Jonathan Mingo trade. 20 players were targeted in this game last night on both sides of the field. Jonathan Mingo, the only one who didn't get a single catch out of any of his targets. 4 targets, no catches, no yards, nothing else.
Oh no, I thought I saw him make at least 4 or 5 plays.
4 targets for the 4th round pick that you gave up for him.
Oh man,
that 4th round pick that's going to be right at the top of the round. Fantastic job.
What is the worst trade? That or the Lance for the 4th? It's got to be Lance at this point still, right?
I mean, the Mingo one will be higher. That'll be a higher pick. The Lance pick was the back end of the 4th.
Mm-hmm. Oof. Well, that's basically a third. Because you got some comp thirds in there.
Yeah, you gave up basically a third for a guy that universally everyone was like, I don't know that I would have given up a 7th.
But they had to overpay. They were fine overpaying. They were fine. This is all going to be. It's all the blame is going to go on Mike. That's the way it is. It's the way it is in this sport. The blame, the front office will take no accountability, and that's part of the problem when it comes to trying to manufacture accountability through players and coaches when the front office has no accountability. They just don't. There's no risk of losing their jobs, nothing like that. And that means that the coach always is the one to get the accountability tag put on them. And that's what's going to happen here.
We got a lot to talk about on that front, but I wanted to talk about that play and honestly the first play of the game. You heard Troy Aikman and Joe Buck talking about, hey, Nico Collins is back. You think he'll go for another 75-yarder?
And he does.
And then he did. It felt like they knew it. Everybody knew the ball was going to go to Nico Collins except for the Cowboys. Now, luckily, there was a penalty that, didn't really impact the play. But Laramie Tunsil, he was like, crap. The camera shot of Collins running while Tunsil's just like got his head down because he knows that flag's on me was amazing. But I was like, well, that's not a great start, but maybe we caught a break. And then Joe Mixon breaks off like a 45-yard run or whatever it was. And you're like, this is going to be a really long day. But the first half wasn't bad.
Yep.
You were still in the game. It clearly fell apart in the second half, but that's a bad sign. Everybody knows Nico Collins is getting the ball, except for the defense.
Yeah.
And obviously the Joe Mixon run.
I think the defense even knew it, but they just weren't able to do anything about it. And
that's even worse.
Was it the moment that Joe Mixon, I think it was Joe Mixon, had his second touchdown, and you see the shot of D'Amico Ryans, and he's saying, give me more. Give me more.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep running it against these guys because they can't stop us.
Yeah, what are they going to do?
Somebody
about
just pointed out that Diggs was the leading tackler last night, and
That's not what you
doesn't
want.
want to tackle. He hates tackling. So that was it started off in a way that you thought, oh no, it's just going to be depressing all night. But like you said, the rest of the game for the first half, you were like, how the crap do we even have a shot at winning this one right now? How are we in it?
I will say on that Mixon touchdown, I'm glad they gave us multiple angles of where Trayvon Diggs was, because when I watched it in real time, I was like, just dive. Maybe we got a shot. And then when they showed an alternate angle, like from the field view, I go, oh, you'd had to be Wemby plus.
Yeah,
and
Byron Jones-like.
Yeah, and then maybe you would have had a shot. So, yeah, no shade at him on that play. I'm glad they showed the other angle because I was like, oh, so that play was never going to work out for us. Cowboys lose 5 straight losses, 4 straight losses.
140.
It's 6 straight home losses.
Was Pittsburgh the last win?
Golly.
Isn't that right?
What a sad season that this has been. Holy
Yeah, you lost to the
moly.
Lions, the Niners, the Falcons, the Eagles, and now the Texans. That is 5 straight losses after destroying by 3 points the Steelers
And
on the road.
Let's
They're
be
good.
honest, last night, Troy Aikman even pointed this out. C.J. Stroud didn't even play that well.
No.
So yes, C.J. Stroud, Rookie of the Year. C.J. Stroud, 7-4 this year. C.J. Stroud not having a great second year. He's not having a bad second year, but he hasn't maybe progressed the way that people thought he would progress in year number 2. And last night, he was average NFL starting quarterback. Like, he wasn't tearing you up. He was missing passes. He was not hitting guys in stride. Like, gosh, if you get a quarterback who's hot in any of these games.
And you will. You're going to run into one. I mean, I know Joe Burrow hasn't won a lot of games this year, but he's going to put up stats that make us look ridiculous. Last night, yeah, y'all are right. The Texans didn't look like a superior team. They should look like a juggernaut to this Cowboys team, but they looked like they were undisciplined. They looked like they had moments where they didn't pay attention to detail. In the red zone, they shot themselves in the foot multiple times.
Yeah.
And Pittergast told us yesterday, he was like, look, this team does play down to its opponent very often. It's that kind of a team.
And that first play, that would have been a touchdown, got called back. And the Cowboys had a clear backwards pass that should have been a fumble.
Yeah.
But the officials were like, you're
Don't
fine.
worry about it.
At least he did, Rico did recover it.
Okay, that's true.
So,
and you still
but it
lost.
would have been like a negative 7-yard play.
You still lost at home by 24 points. And it's not like C.J. Stroud is the best. We walked away from this game being like, they're all right.
And they gave you a free 15 yards one time where they smoked whatever the Michigan tight end is, and they didn't do anything
Scooney.
wrong.
Yeah.
Gosh,
I was like, oh, my God. He looked like he died on that. And then when they showed the replay, I thought for sure we'd see helmet to helmet.
Then it was
And
just
they're
off
like,
the shoulder.
It's a normal hit, but here's a free 15-yard, Dallas, and it still didn't help them out.
I appreciated that, though. They tried.
The fake punt attempt.
You don't have to laugh like that.
Jerry this morning said, and he's right about that.
Yeah.
Why did you do that is what Jerry probably asked Bones. And Bones said, we have to get some kind of life.
Yeah.
And then you do that, and it deflates everything. What I actually thought was it reminded the players, crap, our coaches are desperate. We have nothing else. So for about a quarter, I thought I saw the best defense I'd seen in a while from them. Because they were like, it's all on us now. But then I realized that all on them is just a poor thing. I kept tracking the rushing numbers throughout the game, Kevin. After the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter, 67-21. 67 yards for Houston, 21.
Hey,
Lamb had
take out that touchdown.
Okay.
We would be close.
CeeDee Lamb had 13 yards of that. 21, and CeeDee Lamb had 13 yards. It was 8 first downs to 3. And then in the second quarter, 80-33. The Cowboys, other than CeeDee Lamb, only gained 20 rushing yards in the first half. And I think that Dowdle at the end of that game was at 28 yards, 2.8 yards per carry.
I mean, Troy Aikman dunked on him. He goes, was he averaging like 1 yard a carry?
Yeah, it was very, like, again, except for CeeDee Lamb, it was 20 yards in the first half. The running game is non-existent, and you already have a backup quarterback. You have to protect him in some way and be able to run the football.
Do we, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit later, do you put any blame on Brian Anger for not seeing that the guy he was going to throw it to, his defender, didn't bite on
He's
the
a
punt
punter.
at all?
No,
I don't know what he's supposed to do at that
he's
point.
supposed to
Kick
get
it.
rid of the ball.
Kick it.
So you like fake pass it and then just
You watch, I think the idea was you watch the guy when you're taking the snap, and you have the option to still kick the ball if you want. At least that's the way I understood it.
Okay, but hold on.
I thought it was a great pass, though. He really floated in the air for 7 seconds, so even if the guy wasn't
Why?
close to him, it was like,
caught him.
yeah, it was like,
I mean, he is a punter. I agree with
I
y'all
know,
there.
but I feel like in practice, like, we can't have the ball, and I'm going to literally say, you can't have the ball hang up in the air for 3 seconds. 3 seconds is a lifetime for these fast athletic guys to just recover, even if they did make a mistake.
Yeah, I think what you're saying, Kevin, is right in a regular world, all right? But in the Cowboys world, when a punter is told to punt, he's like, okay, what are my other options? And the guys are like, I said punt. I said throw the ball. I didn't say punt it if you want to. We said throw. I don't think they prepared him for another option on that. They just said, hey, we got to convert this 4th down. And it was a bad play, and you almost got that. Was it Wanye Thomas?
Yes.
You almost got him murdered.
Yes, it was.
He almost got murdered on the field in front of all these people. Well, a bunch of Texans fans.
Corey, because of what you just said, do you think a segment tomorrow would work called Regular World,
Cowboys
World?
Yes.
And we run through, like, what would be a typical thing
Yeah, in a
that a
regular
football
world,
organization would do?
Look, we got a Men's Tea Clinic. We got a Detroit Lions fan coming. Hey, congratulations on your year.
Yeah.
You're doing great, man.
9-1, baby. That's fantastic. That's
Hey,
In the meantime,
okay, that's smart of him.
yeah,
He's
in
a
the-
Dolphins fan.
in
that
the
changed
he's
a lot.
getting his $25 tea test today here at Men's Tea Clinic.
that's available at all 5 Men's Tea Clinic locations today.
You got your complimentary B12 injections today for all patients. Let's go. Let's get up here.
Look, this should
Make
be
Kevin and Corey feel better.
this should be the Cowboys Day special. Hey, like
I'll tell you what. At this
that
point,
probably violates some copyright.
I'd say
stuff.
this. Let's cheat. Let's bring. It's not far away from here. Let's bring in all the Cowboys and let's see how many we
Just
can give
boost
them.
them up, man. Let's
Yeah.
get them going.
Let's
Kevin,
go.
I will add to the segment for tomorrow. In the regular world, offensive linemen fall on the football and don't try to
Oh, that
go
was
score
my.
touchdowns.
That was the
because
best hit of the year.
Their offensive
That's the second
linemen.
time in a row.
Well, and the other thing too is that's
Scoop
the
and
second,
score.
That's the second time that the offensive lineman who didn't block on the play correctly
Yeah.
ended up trying to convert it into something that turned into a touchdown. Terrence Steele just did that, where he didn't block the play correctly. It turned into a fumble, and he's like, I got this. I'm going to save the team. And it turns into a touchdown. That's 2 times
Wait,
now.
wasn't
that's
it
happened.
Guyton yesterday?
It was
Yes.
Guyton yesterday
And
and Terrence Steele
Yes.
last week.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no.
Steele didn't even pick it up though, right? He couldn't even.
It like fell into his hands somehow.
Oh, I remember
Steele,
that.
yeah, he tried.
I remember
he
that.
tried.
There's been multiple ones where we fumble in the offensive line.
Just fall on the
That
ball.
was-
You don't have to be as joyful about this, Mike.
Well, I just think it's amazing. Like, in a way, you compare it to back in the day when a crappy pitcher came up to hit, and you're like, this is, in your mind, you're like, this is a free strikeout. I need my free strikeout here. Yes, I know I have an automatic out. I want the stat. And as soon as Guyton picked up that ball, I don't know who hit him on the Texans, but it's like, this is a free
Petrie.
pancake here. Because like, he can't move. He's slow, and if I smoke him, the ball's probably going to fall out, which it did. And then they scooped and scored, and that's when I think I texted y'all good night.
Yeah, and Petrie's the size of Tito here. He's not the biggest dude, but he knocked out Guyton just like that to force that fumble.
Man.
And that was bedtime, man. Listen,
I watched the whole thing. I hate myself for it.
it was sometime in the fourth quarter with about 6 minutes left, the last Cowboys possession, and it was like I was like, that's it. That's it. I think they went for it on fourth down, and I was like, I'm done for the night.
Did you see, I bet
I missed a touchdown by the Texans.
when they went into the end zone for the defensive touchdown to make it 27-10, I stuck around for a second longer. It was probably at that point only 50% full in the lower bowl. When they ran it in, 50% of the crowd, maybe some had already left, but 50% of the crowd left when they scored that touchdown. And really, it left only Texans fans.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like whenever they panned up, Kevin, I said 60-40 yesterday, and I looked up and I felt like I was seeing 60-40 at the start of the game. And then I saw in the top bowl lots of towels hanging over the chairs. They were as like 2 minutes into the first quarter or something like that, and I was like, "Oh man, that's not good." A lot of people are making their voice heard to Jerry Jones, and this could be the situation for him. And that's where that will be, as a lot of the Tolos have been telling us, the moment that maybe he'll listen.
Yeah, I hope you're right. No, Corey, my exhaustion is, I hope you're right. And then I hear Jerry with Bobby and RJ this morning, and I'm like, hope in one hand, take a crap in the other, and see which fills up first. You know what I'm saying?
Put them together and see. That's the Cowboys, right?
I'm going to tell you what fills up first.
Thanks, Mike.
And we got some Jerry Jones audio here. I thought they were once again some fantastic questions, as all season long, Sean and RJ have been bringing the heat, but ever since that Jerry blow-up, the questions have been even more precise and laser-guided. On the empty seats and the fans with the bags on their head, Jerry, what do you think?
I've seen that with not just, I've seen it with most teams. And I think that certainly our fans are avid. They wouldn't be out there if they weren't avid. And I'm disappointed that we're bringing the team that we are to the field, and we've got to improve on that. That's not acceptable. Over the last, you've heard me say this, but it's factual. Since the Super Bowl years that on a personal basis I was involved in, since those years, counting about 30 years or 25 years, we've been the sixth winningest team in the NFL. In the last 15 years, we're the fifth winningest team in the NFL. So we haven't been to the championship playoff game. We haven't been to a Super Bowl, but we've been around that rim, and we've been up there with the best of them. We've had the whole gambit of experiences with our coaches, coaching staff, and sometimes it has worked, sometimes it didn't work as well as we'd hoped for it to. Rest assured, we'll be figuring out ways to look for what we're doing wrong and improve on that.
I mean, they think you're spoiled. In the first 15 years, we had the sixth winningest team. In the last 15 years, we've actually been better. We're better than those 3 championship years, Wolchuk. I can't believe you don't appreciate that more.
I know. It's just amazing. They're just around the rim. They're really, really close. But, hey.
Keep getting unlucky.
You're just, we're not making conference championship games or Super Bowls, but we're right there. We're winning a ton of regular season games, and that's really what counts.
Yeah, I don't know what a paper bag means, to everybody, but to me, it symbolizes shame and loss of hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brian?
Yeah, it's never easy to see. It was, never easy to see the number of Houston fans that were in that stadium last night. If you're a Cowboy fan, and every Texan play that was big, you heard that crowd, and that's hard. The Cowboys are usually the ones, the road team for the Cowboys, that goes out there. Those fans that go to those away stadiums do a great job of making you feel how I felt like last night watching the Texans. But, yeah, it's, when you wear that bag, I think of the bag. The first time I think I ever saw the bag was at the Saints.
Yeah.
And that's when I was at school, and then Jim Mora came along, and they got better, and those bags went away, and but that was the first time, and you're hiding. Like, I'm here, but I'm not letting you see my face because I don't want you to see my face. And those kinds of things. They don't do your psyche very well to see that working in a front office. You don't want to, you don't want to see the fans that they're there and they're kind of turning on you that way. And so that's the unfortunate thing with those.
It can take a while, in the mid '80s, right before as Jerry was buying the team. What did it take? 4 or 5 years to get the thing turned around?
Yeah, it's very similar to what the New England Patriots went through with Bill Belichick. Very similar of the last 4 years of Tom Landry, they didn't draft very well. There was a lot of misses and a lot of gambles and people started blaming Tom, and Tom ran the whole operation. Him, Tex Schramm was really the general manager, but Tom was the main guy in the whole operation. Belichick, the same way. They started drafting poorly. They started losing games, and then they lose their job. Very similar careers for two legendary coaches, the way that they ended. But there was probably a 3-4 year run where you could start to see the end of the Tom Landry administration because of the draft. And because of the roster building was not where it needed to be.
I can see an end coming too. It's a different kind of end, but an end of the belief, for this fan base, and an end of being on that doorstep of thinking we're right around the rim, in Jerry's words. And if that shifts the fan experience from we're close to, man, we're not even getting to the playoffs anymore, because I think that's the kind of roster that we're looking at now for the foreseeable future, until you go on a run of drafting players again that can build up your trenches, give you a good offensive line, multiple good weapons, and still a somewhat solid defense. I mean, we're a lot of players away from that at this point. I think you're multiple off seasons.
There's so many platforms that I'm on. I feel guilty in a way.
For what?
I feel guilty for talking about the Cowboys in a way of some positivity with their roster.
Yeah.
When I go to training camp, or I go watch a practice, or I go watch a game, and I'm thinking, okay, well, this could work, or this could work, and in actuality, me did not talk about this roster with the possibility that it was going to be really bad. Never went to that. And I think there's a lot of people out there that listen to things that I say.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, well, Broadus thinks, he was a former scout. He, blah, blah, blah. And I get that. I mean, I've been doing media a long time now. I haven't been in scouting for a long time. Trained in it, see things. But my positivity were things that I would have sat there if I was with the Cowboys, and I think I would have been positive about things. I would have said some of the same, or would have believed some of the same things. But we have this platform now to talk about them in a way that gives the fan base hope. And you're like, well, man, you told us this guy could play. You told us this guy could play.
I think the line between below average and good is so thin, it's hard to tell in Oxnard. I think you were accurate in portraying that there were some good things happening with Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe. Right. But it's very difficult to tell in that environment how different that is from what Tyron Smith and Biotish were able to do.
Yeah.
And how much worse Zach Martin had fallen off. The difference of their runners to Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard was a much better running back than anybody on this team, and it happened so incrementally, Brian, just bit by bit, that it was hard to tell everything that this team had lost by the time it was said and done.
I just can't get over how wrong I was about the line, which is, I think, the biggest problem of this football team is the offensive line.
Yeah,
I think it's you'd say about the Zach Martin and all that, but if you look at what the difference between what was wrong. 2000, when they were 12-5, the line was this. right now the line is this. The line is nowhere as good as what it was.
It'll cause you to miss
last
open
year.
receivers constantly.
Well, that's what I think. But then you talk about missing open receivers. How about receivers getting open?
Yeah.
How about somebody like with Lamb but where else and you and I, Zach, were talking about last night in the halftime show. Somebody else has got to make a play. Somebody else has got to step up.
They don't have anybody.
They don't have anybody like that.
And there was no way that we would have known that like last year's version of Michael Gallup was actually significantly better than what we got now.
As bad as we thought Michael Gallup was,
Yep.
it's actually, and I know that maybe Tolbert's gotten better numbers right now but it doesn't feel like that Tolbert has taken that jump.
A lot of those hopes just didn't end up being fulfilled.
Cook's
There have
getting
been so
hurt.
many empty yards. I mean, Rush throws for 350 last night for crying out loud.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he
Jake
threw the ball
Ferguson.
50-something times last night with Cooper Rush. You're going to lose a football
Yeah, there were
game.
a lot of guys you were hoping to take a step, and none of them did.
Yeah. To me, the linebacking core, when you look at, you're thinking, oh, they got a good group of young linebackers and all. We've seen Overshown. And, we get to talk to Kendricks every week. Kendricks is going to lead the team in tackles every week because he's got instincts. But there's times where Kendricks is not in position to make a play.
Yeah.
And so there's things that you honestly thought were going to be better, and they just weren't. And it's not just one position. It's like 5 or 6 of their positions. I don't know what position they have that they could hang their hat on and say, we're really good at this position.
At least in 11, 12, and 13, you had Romo, who could play with blinding pressure, and you had Dez, Witten, Beasley,
right,
Terrence Williams coming through, and they were able to stay around 500 all year.
Right.
Now you're going into a rebuild where it looks like you're going to be about a 5 to 7 win football team for the foreseeable future, and that might take place over a 3-year period. If you're getting bags last night on heads, what could this thing look like in 2 or 3 years? And I think for people who have been desperate for some kind of change, something different, maybe that's the time. It was after the mid and early 2000s run that you go to Parcells because the fan base had lost so much faith. You had to get him to get approval for the stadium.
You absolutely had to have him for the stadium, but you had to give the fan base some hope that you weren't going to run Dave Campo out there anymore, and you weren't going to run Butch Davis or Dave Wanstead or
Chan
Gailey or Norv Turner. You had to go get somebody legitimately that was a Hall of Fame coach. And this what makes me wonder about now with Bill Belichick being out there.
Yeah.
Is this Jerry's now play to like, okay, I'm a football guy. I'm the general manager, but can this guy bring the things that I need? Can he and I work together? Like Jerry and Parcells worked together actually very well. Steven was a great bridge for that to happen. There's some things that Jerry did, like the TO stuff and all that Bill didn't want to do. But Bill is really smart because he knew what battles to fight and what ones not to fight.
But Bill just showed you if you don't give him a really good roster, his magic isn't going to work.
Right.
He needs a great quarterback and, I think a great offensive coaching staff as well.
Yeah.
If I'm the Joneses right now, I'm looking at Bill like if we have a Super Bowl ready roster, I want Belichick. If not, we need a developmental type of coach. We need a guy who can, help us build this roster here over the next, hopefully just 2 or 3 years.
This is where honestly, it's going to sound nuts. I think this is where Jason Witten actually has a chance.
Yeah. I think Witten and Dion too.
Yeah, it's about the leaders of men. Mm-hmm. It's about those guys
building a culture.
Yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of young players. We're gonna have a mix.
Secrets in the dirt.
Yeah, it's gonna be, and it might not be pretty, but if everybody just hangs together.
Yep.
That's what happened in Detroit. Yeah. Remember, they started off. They kept losing games like they'd lose on a field goal, or something would happen.
Yeah, you had to change the losing culture.
You had
and
to
fan base. The fan base will cheer for that if they see momentum and morale and chemistry.
But you got to be honest with the fan base. You got to tell them that
they're not.
No, they won't. You're right.
They're not honest.
But that's where I would say if I was advising Jerry, I would say, hey, listen, boss, we need to talk about this team in a different way. Mm-hmm. We don't. We are one of the most popular teams in the world, regardless of the sport. We could always be that. Let's be honest with this fan base.
Yeah.
We are not as good as we think we are.
Expectations are the beginning of suffering, and we need to scale the expectations away so our fan base can get a damn breather.